Report. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hi there, Barton. I think we got the set. Yeah,
Good to see
good.
you. Steve is our town council member who is our liaison and joins us. And you're back, actually. This is your first time back with us.
You're right. It's been a couple of years. So
Very nice to have
it's
you
good.
back. Um, awesome. And Ralph, are you hiding behind your name back there, Ralpho?
Oh, yeah,
You want to share your face or
yeah,
not?
no, I know everybody's looking forward to seeing me. I didn't realize it was off.
Yeah. And David, is your wife on board here, Sarah? I guess she's in the background or uh,
Well, she's off mute, so
She
she can
is.
answer, talk.
she's there.
She
Hi,
is. Yeah.
hiding. Okay,
Yeah.
welcome, Sarah. Um, anyway, why don't we get this started? It's Thursday, September 12th at 8 p.m. Our Environment Committee has a quorum of members that can vote. Our first order of business is approving the minutes from our last meeting that Ralph has been kind enough to share with us and does dutifully each time. Thanks again, Ralph, for your efforts. Anybody have any comments or amendments or edits? Um, if not, could someone motion to pass the minutes?
I move the pass the to approve the minutes.
Okay. Do we have a second? Anybody want to raise their hand? Thank you, Ivor. Ivar. And all in favor, raise your hands. It's unanimous. Great. Okay. Excellent. So we have a bunch of items. I'm going to just share. I have slightly adjusted the share. Let me see here. Let me see, where is this? EG. Okay, here it is. So this is our agenda. We don't do it strictly in order. Since we already have a presenter today, Chris Colby from Homegrown National Park, to do a short presentation, I think I'm just going to go straight to that so we don't have to take any more of his time. So, and then we'll come back and review the rest of the agenda. So with that, I'm just going to turn it right over to you, Chris, and why don't you introduce yourself, what you've been up to, and how your presentation is related to our town. Should be great. But welcome.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. It is nice to meet you. I don't think I actually know any of the folks on this call. I am actually not with Homegrown National Park. I'm with a company called Backyard Bounty.
Okay.
We are the landscaper. We did the gardens around the tennis courts by the town hall,
Okay.
the rain garden and the stormwater gardens there, and have, lots and lots of clients in the town. Matter of fact, I think Marnie Shaw, who everybody knows Marnie Shaw, was probably one of our first half dozen clients a decade ago. So, so we've been happily serving folks in Somerset for a very long time. And to your point from before, Barton, one of the things that we got involved in pretty early on was native plants and native plants for increasing biodiversity and creating habitat and just all the kind of good stuff they can do. And 5, 6 years ago, we would talk to folks about native plants, and they would kind of look at us and say, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And that has actually changed pretty dramatically over the last 2 or 3 years. We are now getting at least half of our clients asking us proactively, "Hey, I'd actually like to do my part, and I'd like to, take out some of my lawn and replace it with native plants for habitat and stormwater management, a bunch of different stuff." So what I was hoping to share with you guys tonight is there's a not-for-profit called Homegrown National Park. Is anybody familiar with Homegrown National Park or the name Doug Ptolemy? There we go. Okay, and I don't know the names. So hello, Sarah and David. Um, yeah, so Homegrown National Park, Doug Ptolemy is probably the biggest name in this particular field. He's been out evangelizing for this for a long time. We were a very, very early supporter of this not-for-profit. And what we're doing now is we have installed, we found out a couple months ago that we are the single largest installer of homegrown national park gardens in the country. We have yeah, we have
Awesome.
we have 252, actually I think it's 261 gardens now on the Homegrown National Park map. So Sarah, David, have you guys been on their map at all? The Homegrown National Park map?
I have not been on the map. Sarah may have.
I run a small environmental group. I'm very familiar with it.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah. So
And on
It's
top of
great,
that-
and I think everyone should get on the map. We're
and
on
yeah,
top
the
of
no,
that,
absolutely.
We've
Yeah.
heard Doug Ptolemy talk multiple times and talk
Yeah, he's
about
great.
the-
He gives a tremendous presentation. And I'm actually talking with the folks at Homegrown National Park about sponsoring. I mean, he comes to the DMV on a regular basis, and we're thinking
Yeah,
about sponsoring an
Our
event.
organization had him come and speak
Awesome.
a
That's
number of
great.
years ago.
Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, so some folks are familiar with this. So basically what we're trying to do is we are out talking to folks like yourselves. I'm talking town of Chevy Chase in a week or two. I'm also talking importantly to a lot of different landscaping companies, right? Because, you know, I do run a landscaping company, and landscaping companies are, to be honest, not really at the forefront of this movement, right? And so I'm trying to help some of my compatriots get on board. And, you know, and these folks are running a business, and I respect that. I'm running a business too. And we just have to help them understand that this is also good business in addition to being good for the environment. So what I'd like to do is, Barton, if you don't mind allowing me to share, which you may have done so already. Yep, there we go.
Um,
Let's see, there we
see, I don't
go.
know how to, are you already, okay, you're already good. Okay, good.
It
Good.
looks like I'm good. Boom. I'm assuming you guys can see a slide.
Yes.
Okay, great. What I'd like to do is I'll take you guys through this thing at warp speed, but the basic message here is we all have a duty to help the biodiversity that we collectively have eliminated over the last decades, right? And so the idea here is, you know, depending on where you grew up, you know, when I was a kid, we would go out riding in, you know, the family station wagon on a summer evening, and my dad would have to stop on a regular basis to clean the windshield, right? And unless you grew up in Arizona or someplace like that, this probably happened to you. The question now, of course, is when was the last time you had to do that?
Hmm.
Right? Because you just do not get a bug-filled windshield anymore. And the reason for that is because there has been a massive decline in the insect population around the world, right? There's a bunch of statistics here. I won't take you through them, but you know, one of the most alarming for this is there's a German study that came out that where they actually measured a 79% decrease in the insect population.
Yeah.
Right? It is true that a portion of our clients are still bugs are bad, right? And that's something that we're working pretty hard to educate folks on because, you know, without bugs, we're all toast, right? This is one of the few, you know, I didn't think when I got into the gardening business that I would be dealing with existential threats, right? But this is truly an existential threat that we are dealing with. And so we are trying very hard to support Homegrown National Park in their efforts to educate folks on the importance of getting what they call keystone plantings, but native plants moving. Okay.
Mhm.
The other thing that's really important is a lot of folks, when you initially speak with them, think, well, hey, can't just our national parks handle this, right? And no, it just doesn't represent a large enough portion of the landmass of our country. Instead, it really has to be driven by people who own the land, right? People who own the land, and this could be people with porches in a condo in Bethesda. It can be folks, you know, who live in Somerset. I happen, you know, I lived in downtown Silver Spring for 20 some odd years, and I just moved to a farm out in Frederick County, and we're in the process of transitioning, you know, what was a hayfield into native plantings. And we're also going to be trying to turn this into something of a demonstration garden where folks can come out and see all kinds of different native plantings
Mhm.
that they can then go turn around and use at home.
So just before you continue, Chris, I just want to let
Sure.
you know that, many people watch this video later. So, we want you to share some more information, but we also have other things on our meeting tonight. So I don't know how.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
But
Yeah, no, understood. You bet. Sorry about that.
yeah.
All right. So garden is if your life depends on it because it does. And they're really just two steps here, right? One is kill your lawn, okay? And the other one is, like we were mentioning a minute ago, Sarah, get on the HNP map, right? So the idea behind kill your lawn is we're not advocating that anybody kills their entire lawn, right? I mean, I still have lawn at my place. Everybody should be able to have some turf. And you don't need to do it all at once, but at least do part of it, right? I'm going to go ahead and skip why lawns are status symbols in the interest of time, although it's kind of a funny story. The other thing to remember is that lawns are actually the largest cultivated crop in the United States. They are more than corn, more than soybeans, more than anything else. And, Doug Ptolemy is famous for referring to lawns as ecological dead zones. We call them green asphalt, right? And part of the main reason for that is there really are no root structures that turf grass uses in order to retain stormwater management, in order to provide for pollinators, etc. This is one of my favorite slides because you can see the root structure of turf grass all the way over there on the left, right?
Mhm.
Compared to the different kinds of native plants that you can be using. Step two here, and this is really what we're asking folks to do, go support Homegrown National Park, right? You can do that by getting on the map. You can do that by getting your neighbors on board, or if you're able, support them directly, right? So the map, as we mentioned before, this is the Backyard Bounty specific map, but if you go to homegrownnationalpark.org and go on the map, it's a really fun thing. You can zero in on Somerset, see all the different gardens in town that are associated with it. It's a pretty slick little tool. The other thing you can do to get your neighbors involved, you guys will see some of these signs that have been going up. I'm not sure how many specifically we put in Somerset, but we've put up about 100 of these signs in our client gardens over the last few weeks, just to get folks interested so they can, go visit Homegrown National Park and find out more. And that is it. How was that for my accelerated version, Barton?
That was awesome. I mean, not the fact that it was accelerated.
No,
It's
that was
also
great.
basically to give a fresh perspective of the importance of having native species in our yard, and also, obviously having this homegrown type of national park thought process is about, increasing the biodiversity of our own town, and just, helping the planet. For, they say that we need to protect about 30% of all land masses for us to have a stabilized biodiverse planet Earth, as well as 30% of all marine of the ocean ways need to be protected. So this is a very important presentation, and I hope that people watching this video will appreciate and reach out to our committee and also to Chris. So thanks so much. And anyone have any questions on this Zoom tonight for Chris? Go ahead, Ralph.
I do. What would you have us do as a committee?
So what you'll do, go to homegrownnationalpark.org. There is a huge list of how to get started. Also, you'll notice in this presentation that there are a lot of links that I have embedded in the PowerPoint. And so each of these links will go to somewhere that says, okay, I'm interested. What's the first thing I do? Right. And the first thing you do is just go get started really, really small. Right. And so there are lists on the Homegrown National Park website of, hey, if I'm only going to plant 6 plants, what do I do? Right. Where do I put them, etc.
Mhm.
The other thing that you can do, and this is kind of a standing offer, I am more than happy to talk to your landscaper, right? And that's been one of the big ones. That's one of the ones where we feel that we personally can actually have the biggest impact, is talking to other landscapers and helping them understand the importance of getting on board with this effort as well. So those are kind of the two things. Go plant some native plants. Yeah, go ahead.
We, the Environment Committee, we have sometimes hosted town meetings
Yep.
where people who wanted to get on board, who wanted to learn about it, could come to a presentation that might take more than 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Maybe in town hall or maybe on Zoom. I guess we've been mostly doing Zoom recently,
Yeah.
and go into more depth so that, you know,
Mhm.
10 or 20 households in the Somerset
Right.
might get the benefit of all this.
Are you
Yeah.
suggesting that we invite Chris to town hall for a get together, Ralph?
Well, I'm thinking, yeah.
I could support that too, and perhaps, as a getting people interested, a article in the town journal, giving people what it is and inviting them to learn more.
Okay.
So,
Um,
so it's also the same message as the Montgomery County
Very
Rainscape
similar.
program
Yeah.
is. And I could see a really great, my area is stormwater management, so I look at all this homegrown park from the stormwater management part of it. But all of the installations I do are 100% native plants. But I could see a nice panel with Rainscapes and Chris and
okay.
we've done that thing before. We had Rainscapes out, 85 people came.
Yeah,
And
no, absolutely. And
that
we've
was
yeah,
a lot of years ago, and they have a wealth of knowledge too. So
they
I mean,
do. And
I
that
would
is
applaud.
actually, yeah, that is a great program. We've known Ann English since the dawn of time
Mhm.
and have worked we've installed over 300 Rainscapes projects. So it is a tremendous, tremendous program. And to your point, it's a really nice way to get started because they have an immense amount of resources available to folks in the county
And
And
a
money.
giant rebate.
and a giant rebate. Absolutely.
Do we have
So,
anyone else with comment? Go ahead.
Barton,
Steve, please.
yeah, if I just, so as a liaison from the council, I'm not a voting member. I'm just here to sort of listen and maybe uh, make some suggestions of what the council might be open to considering.
Okay.
I think that the committee could consider, are there some efforts that maybe the town could partially fund? Like if someone wanted to install a rain garden, the county provides some rebates or benefits.
Mhm.
The town could also contribute if that's something that the Environment Committee recommended, and we looked at it from a budget impact standpoint. So that's one thought. From a regulatory standpoint, I know whenever I'm biking around town, I see signs for Mosquito Joe or one of these other
Yeah.
Oh,
outfits. I'm just thinking this is not the right way to go.
yeah.
I do not know if the town has the authority to ban that type of activity, but we might. And certainly if the committee was interested in
Yes.
exploring that sort of a thing, well, then we can engage the town lawyer and figure out what our options are. I just want to put that out there for you and the committee.
Thank you for those wonderful suggestions. I love the collaborative effort. Does anyone have any responses? I mean, I personally support what Steve has just offered. Anyone else want to react to that? We have a lot of interesting things on the table here. Um,
I just add, so pesticides, I think, is one important thing. But what about fertilizer? Are there any rules for the use of fertilizer? What kind of fertilizer can be used?
Well, Montgomery County has been a national leader in how they're approaching this. So yes, there are, and we're not able to use certain types of fertilizers. And by the way, I get out of my depth. I'm not an actual landscape architect. So somebody much smarter than me on my team would need to address the specifics. But
mhm.
there are rules around what kinds of fertilizers you can use on turf grass and other things now. We use just regular compost, just the regular leaf grow compost that the county develops.
Mhm. Okay, so I believe, what I'd like to do for a second, I would like to pause on making some recommendations and moving that forward because I know that EJ is here on the call for a short period of time. He is our town manager, and he has some updates that I would like him to share. So if we could pause on some of the things we just discussed for like 5 minutes and let EJ give us an update on some exciting developments, environmentally speaking, for the town. Are you there, EJ?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you share some things about the procurement document that you share with me? Maybe something about the compost and maybe something about the pool house solar panel. It's three things that come to mind. And also, I saw that the the Sustainable Maryland, we got an email today saying that there are stuff is under review for receiving like a bronze membership. But go ahead, EJ.
Yes,
And
so
Barton, I'm going to let you guys get to your business. Um,
Okay.
thank you so much for the time, everyone. If you need anything, please reach out. And like I said, at the very least, just go visit Homegrown National Park and do what you can for them. Thank
Okay,
you so
great.
much.
Thank
coming.
you very much.
Take care.
Thank you, Chris. And we are probably, per some people's suggestions, we might be contacting you again to consider coming to our town hall for an
Yeah.
event, if that's okay with
Happy,
you.
happy to do it. Been there many times. You bet. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, EJ, why don't you go ahead?
yes, thank you. So the first thing I was asked to comment on was at our council meeting on Monday, the council passed and adopted a sustainable procurement policy, which was first introduced to us as an idea by the folks at Sustainable Maryland. It basically is a complement to our existing procurement policy and sort of codifies things that we've already been doing, but makes it actually a part of our procurement process. The main impact it has is whenever we're looking to procure resources or materials or contracts, we have to look at environmental factors like greenhouse gas emissions, waste generation, impacts on biodiversity, social equity factors, like if it's a local business or not, if it's human health impact, the health impact on humans, and then the fiscal factor in the sense of making sure we're buying what we're actually needing and we're not just buying to buy, and that we're buying things that um, are high quality and high performing so that we're not wasting and constantly buying new materials. And so now, from now on, whenever we're looking to procure stuff, that's something that we have to look at. And so I'm personally very excited about this. And then so that kind of leads directly into the second thing, which is Sustainable Maryland is that we at Town Hall, me and our deputy town manager especially, has been working on getting Somerset certified as a Sustainable Maryland town. That is currently going well. So how it works is to get it is we have to um, go through this application process where it gives its criteria for a bunch of different items. So, for example, one of the required actions is that the town has an environment committee and the town and its meeting. And another action is just an example is like uh, electric vehicles, solar panels, all this kind of stuff. And so um, we've currently just the email Barton was mentioning was that just today around 5 o'clock, the application opened for its second review, which means that, well, it's second editing. So it has been reviewed by the Sustainable Maryland folk. And so tomorrow morning, we're going to get in the office and see how many points we have and what we need to.
Looks like we
Lost it.
lost him for a second. Okay, maybe he's back. You here? I can't hear you, EJ. There you are. We hear you now. Go ahead. What we did for a moment.
Can
Go ahead. Can't hear you.
sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. And then
Okay, what's
go ahead.
you heard?
Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Sorry, what's the last thing that
So
you
basically, you're going in the office tomorrow to continue the process of making sure you got enough points so that they can certify us as a town.
Yes. And so if all goes well, we'll be certified this November. And then the final thing, solar panels on the town hall roof, or not town hall roof, the Pool house roof is currently been working on a proposal with Celestial Solar, which is the same company that did the town hall solar panels. And I'm hoping to bring that to the council before the end of the year for installation in the spring before the pool opens. And then I'll also briefly comment, we've been working closely with Compost Crew, and buckets should start being delivered to all the new households next week. Just today, we've been working on finalizing the list of all the addresses in town that has composting currently, and it needs to be added to their services. So that's been a very exciting process.
That is awesome, EJ. Thank you so much for your efforts. I really, really appreciate it. Is there anyone here on this Zoom that wants to ask EJ a question, follow up?
Yeah, I do. I just was curious, have anyone actively opted out, of the compost yet?
We've had 15 households opt out,
Okay.
which I consider quite a good number.
Minimal.
Yeah, very minimal, which I'm very happy about.
Me too. Any other questions for EJ? Okay, EJ, thanks again for hopping on the call with us. I don't want to take any more of your time. Let me know, and I assume that the solar panels are up and humming and doing well at the town hall. Are you pleased with their performance?
I am, yes. They're working real great. They're a workhorse.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a sense of what percentage of the actual town hall that they are offsetting, or is that a hard number to just say?
I am able to look up that information. That's something I can figure out in the morning when I get into the office and send to you.
Okay. Be curious to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. Thanks again, EJ.
Thank you.
Hopping
Thank
on
you
the
very
call.
much. Of course.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let's get back to the agenda. I think the second one, which is basically recycle cans for the town. I'm not sure whether that was Sarah that recommended this idea, but I like that idea. I think was that you, Sarah, that mentioned that idea? I just can't remember. Anyway,
It's been on my mind.
been on your mind.
Yeah,
I mean,
for a long time after we went to Halifax, and every trash can had three things: compost, recycling, and trash.
okay, so it appears that there is another town in this world that has a municipal recycling bins.
Yeah.
So why can't we do the same? It not only allows people to recycle objects that need to be recycled instead of landfill, but it also is a visible declaration for people passing through our town that that's what we do. And it's like another way of like instead of putting up a sign and say we're a very, environmentally focused town, having recycling bins is a pretty clear indication of that. So I thought to bring that up before our group and see whether anyone has any comments of support or otherwise. Open up to anyone who wants to speak.
I think it's a no-brainer. And I'm not sure it's going to take a lot of discussion on our part. I mean, to implement it will take some discussion, but to recommend it to the town council, I think it's something we could do right now.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. Ivar?
I'm wondering, would this be for, people walking around and they have a plastic water bottle in their hand that they need to get rid of, and they would put that into the recycling bin?
Correct.
Because, I'm thinking that, so I have a dog and I have the New York Times. And New York Times comes with these blue bags. And so whenever Tiger and I go for a walk, he poops, I put it in the plastic bag and I put it in the trash can.
Right.
And that seems to me to be 90% of the content of the trash cans that we have around town. So I'm wondering if is there something we can do about this, or maybe I'm not doing it right, but that just seems to me to be the thing that goes in there. I don't know how much recyclable trash would end up just citizens of Somerset would go in there. I mean, everybody has their their blue trash cans that they put the recyclable stuff in.
Right.
So I'm, is there a way we can have, like dog poop cans? Because that just seems to, and with recyclable bags or something. But that just seems to me to be the majority of the stuff
But it's
that are in
certainly,
those.
I mean, that is certainly a secondary and perhaps a larger conversation. But before we get to the poop, is there anyone who have any other comments about recycling cans? Dave?
Just, how many do we have in town? We don't have that many. I think there's like maybe 3 along Dorset, maybe.
One at Surrey, other side of Little Surrey is one that's 2. Then we have one at
An excess SX.
Essex.
Trent and Uppingham.
Yes.
So it's like a half dozen or maybe a little about. So, we're only talking about that many cans. And then and for the recycling truck to drive around, they're passing by those sites anyways.
Right.
Now I don't know. I think that the trash folks do our trash cans at a different date than the household, or am I wrong on that?
Steve,
Same thing.
Steve, does the Good Company do all the trash for the residents and the town of Somerset at the same day? Can you hear me?
Unless Exodus.
Steve, you're muted. Can't hear you. You're muted. Anyway,
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties on my part.
that's okay.
I know it's Goody does both. I don't know if they have they do the recycling pickup from the homes on the same day.
Right.
So would be kind of surprised they would make a separate trip just for a couple of trash municipal cans. But I don't answer to that.
Yeah.
I just sort of remembered that. But anyways, I just think that it's only we're talking about adding 6 more cans or maybe 8 or 10.
How many cans are there, Steve, approximately in town? Do you have any idea, or maybe you don't offhand?
I think it's less than maybe around a dozen, a little less. And most of those cans are dog poop cans only.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, somebody can open up the top and put something that's not dog poop in there, but they're designed for dog poop.
So my question on the recycling is, a lot of recycling cans get trash put in them. And if the,
Mm-hmm.
will the carrier sort them out, or if he sees trash in them, will he just throw the whole thing away?
Probably the latter. In fact, Goody has indicated that if you have your recycling in a plastic bag tied off in your recycling bucket, that will become landfill as well. They will not take the time to open up plastic bags. It has to be loose material for them to recycle. So that partially answers your question.
That's interesting.
Some of the ways that the recycling bins deal with that is by having smaller openings than are the public cans.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking that what Alvaro was saying, if there's not a big demand for it, and there is a big demand for poop things, that they might become poop receptacles.
I mean, the only thing to do with poo, which is a compostable material, is to have compostable bags for
You
people.
can't put it in your home composting.
You can't? Okay.
No, you cannot. You can't send it to compost group.
Okay, so that
Montgomery County was kind of pulling a fast one, putting bags at all the dog parks that they said were compostable, but they're not, because we don't compost dog poop in this county.
Right.
yeah.
So,
I looked into, you can compost dog. The proper thing to do with the dog poop is to flush it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, waste aren't supposed to go to landfill, but I looked into some, they had like in-ground pits that you could put it in.
Yeah. But people
like to-
on walks. What's that?
I'd like to backtrack on what I said, that maybe we should vote on it tonight, because I think it's more complicated than what it sounded like at first. I think we need to consider, the number of things, and maybe we should have them at the pool and, at various places, but not every single one. There's a can at Trent and Uppingham Street. I don't know why it's there, and I can't imagine how a recycling bin right beside it would help.
But to your
Um,
point, Ralph,
yeah.
I think considering recommending to the town council to consider a recycling bin at least at the pool and the town hall is a good start. I don't believe there is one there. Is there? Has anyone been to the pool to determine whether there's a recycling bin there? I just don't know. I
There
guess
has been in the past. I don't know if the guards maintain it or anything. I only know from when I was on the swim team.
I mean, there's a trash can. Well, we try to recycle at the tennis courts. We recycle the balls, and I think there are recycling bins in the on the tennis courts. So at least we should just do it for the pool. I think that's would be a good start. Comments?
If we're going to make a recommendation, maybe we should give it a month, really kind of look at it, and rather than coming up with something tonight and then saying, oh, gee, well, we didn't really mean that.
Okay. Well, why don't we?
I'd like to add, and I don't know if there's a solution, but there are people who walk through the woods next to my house and put their cigarette butts on the ground. And that's disgusting and horrible, and it makes me mad every time I see one.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they have those funny shaped little cans that just hold cigarette butts. I wonder if a few of those in well placed, places might be good.
People stop at the stop sign in front of my house, Ralph, and throw their McDonald's trash out.
Wow.
If you see like cans and bottles in my front yard, it is not me.
Yeah,
I
ought
would
to take
say
care
at
of it.
least once a week, I get someone's dump of everything in their car thrown out on my lawn.
That is so horrible.
So,
Ah. Okay, so why don't everyone think about it in the back of their mind or the front of their mind in this next month about recycling bins around town, about cigarette disposal systems about town. If you think of, and we'll reconvene in a couple of months' time to sort of make a recommendation if we are so moved. Okay. Okay, let's move on to this is an easy one, which is basically awareness of our accomplishments on the website. I sent an email to our mayor and EJ about two things. One is to print a few of the signs. Okay, one second. It's about okay. It had to do with basically, I'll just show you this. One second. Sorry for the delay. Okay, just show you this picture. So this is our website right here. I think it's the front page, and it talks about the accomplishments, the bragging rights of our town. And I thought it would be really nice to have some environmental things on the front page to show how focused we are, because that's really important. And the things that I said, instead of for another rectangle underneath there where it says like 100 plus volunteers serving the town council, we would have like in a box that says environment, like the town compost has solar panels and LED lights. For starters, just simple stuff that will show people who are learning about our town that this is a major focus. Of course, we can always change that, but that's what I think. We need to advertise what we're doing to others, because this is not just what we're doing is not just about what we're doing in our town, but it inspires other municipalities to do the same. And having our presence in the front of the website is one way of promoting that. Comments?
I think that's a good idea, Barton. And I can think of a whole bunch of indicators that would be that could over time become, quite impressive. Share of houses with solar panels, number, share of cars
Yeah.
that are electric, um, overall electricity consumption from renewable sources. There's a whole bunch of things that we could do there that,
Mhm.
you know, um, if we're hopeful that, data is going to spur action, that
Yeah.
could be added to a scorecard for the city because that targets all kinds of things.
Awesome. Any other comments? Okay, so it sounds like people are fairly interested in this. Maybe we can make a recommendation that the town council has the website um, updated on the front page to include environment related activities. And maybe Ivar, you can send me a list that we can circulate amongst ourselves of some of of your ideas like that you just mentioned. And that would be helpful and and other people can add to that list. We don't want to make it too long. We want to keep it, short enough that we don't want to inundate people, but we want to just share with them, you know, really important stuff. Anybody, do we have a feeling that we can vote on this as a recommendation, or do we have any counter comments? Okay, no counter comments. People, someone want to create a motion? How about you, Ivar? Will you create a motion uh, for us to consider?
Um, well, I mean, wouldn't it be something simple like, you know, add environmental indicators to the town's website?
Yeah. Do we have a second for this motion?
A question, who maintains this part of the website? Who are we recommending this to? I don't imagine it goes to the town council. It might just go to EJ.
Well, the mayor asked me to send it to the town council as a recommendation. So I'm just
Oh,
basically following
okay.
his recommendation, protocol, whatever. So do I have a second to that motion? Okay. I think Ralph had his hand up by a millisecond faster. And all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Excellent. Steve, can you remind me? Oh, you had two items that you brought up for us to consider. One was, can you just remind me again? You're a mute. Yeah, no.
So I remember one of them was, I think it's CERES, CERES. It's the international standard for like environmental building codes. And I see a potential for Somerset to take the lead in this area. And we could, I believe, again, we have to work with the town attorney, but I had some informal discussions with him. I believe that we could modify our town code to require
Oh,
that new construction houses conform to this international standard. And I'm not an expert on the standard, but my understanding is that it's a very environmentally sensitive building code standard approach. It would increase the cost, or at least the expense to builders for these new homes. But quite frankly, I think there is a large profit margin that builders could work within.
right,
As you know, this would only impact tear downs and new constructions. It would not impact people who are modifying their existing house, want to put on a patio, an enclosed porch,
right,
build up an extra floor, whatever. This would be for tear downs, new construction projects.
right. It's called
Um,
CERES.
I think
CERES.
I
Yeah.
think it's CERES.
Okay.
If you're interested, if the committee has some interest in this, I'm happy to do a little bit more research.
There's a guy in Montgomery County who's been working really hard to get Montgomery County to adopt it.
Okay, so you know what I'm
I-
talking about. Okay, great.
Yeah, I could send you his name. He's I've seen a couple presentations on the code. As I said, my area is stormwater management, so I really only know about it from a stormwater management point of view. But what it does is it makes things in the code that are regulations right now. So there's no waivers. Like
Right.
you don't get a waiver for your electrical code. You
Right.
have to do it.
To do it.
So that's the big advantage why we're pushing for it for Montgomery County is that there's the waivers aren't an issue anymore.
Right.
Code.
Okay.
But I
So-
could send you the name of the guy and it would be, if you're interested, it'd be worth having him do a presentation. He's very knowledgeable.
I would like that for sure, Sarah. So please send me that. Obviously, okay. So the other thing was about the mosquito, Joe, banning
yeah.
the use of mosquito spraying. Do we have a feeling amongst the group here about amongst our members whether or not we want to recommend to the town to ban the use of mosquito spraying?
Well, if I could just interject, I think you need to do a little bit of research, bring in some experts, maybe have a town forum on the pros and cons of using this. But
Right.
this would be a good time. We're out of the season, and maybe there are some alternative approaches to mosquito control. We use mosquito donuts at home,
Right.
which are reasonably effective, moderately effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. There was something written, I saw an article about that. You know, this is a new topic that you brought up, and I think instead of getting into it, because it sounds like we need to think about it.
Absolutely. I'm not trying to push it. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
put it on the floor for your consideration.
Right. I think the two things that we have with the 10 minutes remaining are banning the gas powered weed whackers.
Yes.
And that's and the other one is banning wood fireplaces for new homes. Those are two items that we sort of have kicked down the road. I'm inclined to ban to talk about banning wood fireplaces because that was the one item on the Montgomery Code for electrifying houses that they decided not to ban. And I would like the committee to consider asking the town council to ban the use of fireplaces because obviously the particulates coming from fireplaces is horrible, and there are many cities around the country that have banned the use of wood fireplaces in homes. So I'd like to open that up for discussion amongst people. Again, it's for new construction. Dave, Ralph,
Does that include wood stoves also?
you mean in the house?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think so. Burning of wood is basically what we're talking about here. As far as like heating the house with the wood stove, is that what you mean? Or
That's
just
what I mean.
cooking with it
Wood stoves, for heating.
for heating? It's a good question. I mean, I would probably incline to have that as an exception if people, want to stay off the grid and use wood to heat their homes, then that's sort of like an essential right, I guess you could say.
Well, then I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the idea. I'm just saying now you're starting to get into some gray area. If
But that would be one gray area, correct?
that it is something. I know during the Snowmageddon, it was pretty ineffective, but we used our our furnace, not our furnace, our fireplace in order
Right.
to keep warm during that one room. So it was advantageous to have that.
Right. Well, do we have any other comments about this? I mean, I'm thinking about your comment, Dave, as we
What
listen to
what
others.
about outside? like those solo stoves and grills and that kind of stuff. It's the same
Having
particulates.
backyard fires and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But those are, I, I'm talking about like new construction, like building a fireplace, which, is would lend itself to more frequent use as opposed to like I do have like a campfire in my backyard once a year for like my birthday, you know, and so that's sort of my compromise to myself because, I used to love making fires my whole life. So this is sort of my last hurrah, if you will. So that's sort of if I hope I responded to your comment, Ivar.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in terms of the magnitude. I mean, what gets used most? Is it, the few new houses that get constructed every year versus everybody then has a grill or a fireplace on their patio.
Well, Steve, do you have something you want to add?
Well, so I think that's a great question about sort of how many people do different types of activities that use carbon. And I was thinking that perhaps, and I think that there's a certain emotional attachment to being able to burn wood, whether it's in your fireplace or charcoal in a charcoal grill. And I don't even know how many times people do it, but it could just be a tough battle. The question I had is, could it be more, if you only had like one regulation change you could get in, would it be more effective to try to lead the charge in Montgomery County to get natural gas out of new construction?
Well, I think they're about to do that. They're about to have all new construction to be electrified.
They've been talking about it, but
I think
is
it's
that
going to
close?
start. I think it is underway. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize
Isn't
that.
that right, Dave?
I'm not sure. I've not been tracking that.
I mean, I have a friend who's a developer, builds homes, and he was a part of the team to 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 write the policy that became code. I mean, I have to ask him, but I'm pretty sure that is like already locked and loaded. I don't
Okay.
know when the start date is. I think it's like a couple of years.
Aren't there
Okay.
scrubbers that you can put in fireplaces to take the particulate matters out?
I'm sure there are. They
I mean,
exist.
Dave, is that something you know about? For wood stoves, scrubbers?
I don't.
I think
I know
there,
for wood stoves, yes, there are scrubbers. Now, I don't, but fireplaces, I'm not sure there is. But it's the same idea, just it's, more of the wood stoves are in a pipe, and fireplaces are more open until it gets up to flue.
Yeah, so the idea here, Ivar, is that it's easy just to basically, as a starting point, to ask that all new construction does not allow the building of a wood fireplace. And then as that happens over the course of the next 10 or 20 years, we get new houses over and over again. And then the behavior changes slowly, naturally, as opposed to sort of have a draconian ask for everybody in the neighborhood to stop, or reduce their use of the fireplace. So this is like the first step. That doesn't mean we're done. It just means that we're sort of making progress in this direction towards changing behavior.
At our last meeting, it's in the minutes.
Hmm.
There are many other issues like outdoor fire pits and gas fireplaces that we need to consider. This is an early discussion and no motion was made. One of the discussion items when we were talking about it before was if we have no natural gas going into houses, then people can't have a gas fireplace.
Right.
So if they can't have a gas fireplace and they can't have
Right.
a wood fireplace,
They can have electric heaters.
electric, yeah.
That's the whole
There are
idea.
electric fake fireplaces. Is that what we are?
Or just a heat pump.
So there are scrubbers, ESP filters for fireplaces that reduce the particulate matters. They say by 90 to 95%. So maybe it would be better to go with changing the code to require those. I don't know.
I think that's a great idea.
It's called I mean I just Googled it. So they're European, of course.
Mhm.
And
Can older fireplaces be retrofitted to have those scrubbers? Or are we really only talking new construction here?
yeah, I don't know anything about them except that I just thought there were some scrubbers and
but you can construct the home now with them as opposed to having to retrofit. So it is more applicable to a new home.
Yeah.
Mhm. It sounds like the
I
scrubber.
just put it in the chat what the one I got. So
Okay,
I don't know anything about them. I just Googled it.
right.
But they have them in coal, they have them in power plants and stuff. I'm sure that they have them in
Mhm.
for fireplaces. It's not a
Okay.
new technology.
Well, it seems like this is a great idea in the sense of, we could do some research if someone wants to do some research on this and to see whether or not, this is something we can recommend people to, you know, do over like everyone I don't know, who has a
Well,
fireplace needs to have a scrubber installed.
can we put that into the code? Is it an add-on? Is it an overlay on existing with the count with the when we're approving building plans? Can we require that be part of what they have to do in order to get a building permit in Somerset?
Yeah,
The
Okay.
EPA has a page on it too.
I
Of
think
what you can
that's
do.
basically accomplishing the same thing as what I intended was to remove the particulates from the air. So
I think that you might run into a bit of backlash
right,
on removing fireplaces. I
right.
think there is just as someone mentioned already, the idea of sitting in front of, even if it's a gas fireplace, people just like the idea, the look of the fire, and it feels warm and homey
Yes.
to have that. So I think that it's just you might get not a whole lot of support from the town on that.
I think it's an excellent idea, and I think we should recommend, from my standpoint, I like the idea of recommending that new construction includes scrubbers for wood fireplaces if they're in fact, designed into the, part of the design.
EPA has a whole page on how to do a change out campaign
Send me
and how
that
to get
link.
rid of them. They have you can retrofit EPA qualified hydronic heaters, fireplace retrofits.
Mhm. Okay.
Best
Anybody
practices.
have
Yeah,
some,
EPA has already been there.
anybody have any other comments about this particular topic, or do we feel like it seems like a pretty no-brainer to me personally? I would love the committee to consider a recommendation to the council for this particular topic because adding a scrubber is as Dave summarized it already well, so I don't need to rehash what he just said.
Right, but I do think I guess given that this is a new item in a sense, I'd rather not propose it in this meeting just to know what's the cost of these, is how available. I'm sure there is a whole website in EPA, and I think that's probably all available. I just don't want to approve something that I've only heard about in the last 10 minutes.
Okay. What?
Barton, can I just, make an observation? So fine particulates all over the world in dense cities is a massive problem, and you can track it very clearly with measurements, indicators. I'm wondering, um, do we have any um, local data to say that we think that the air quality in Somerset is worse certain part of the year because people are using their wood-fired um, um, fireplaces. And I'm also thinking that, if we have that kind of data, that town hall would tell people that we have people with asthma and other conditions that really suffer in the winter when their quality is really bad. And so for that reason, we would like to discourage people from using their fireplaces and also outdoor fires, etc.
Hmm. Well,
As a
we have had a number of individuals who have complained about their neighbors' outdoor fireplaces and their
Yeah.
children have asthma. That's already happened. So that's not data, but those are actual stories that have happened, a bunch of times. So that exists. We know that. But I mean, you know, I don't think we need to have an acute problem in our town of Somerset to to focus on this. I see every single thing we do as like a global event. This is we everyone's got to be doing everything. You know what I mean?
I'm thinking just in terms of generating buy-in and sympathy. That people would do this because they have neighbors, and there's children
Right.
in the community that suffer as a result of the burning of carbon.
Yeah. No, I understand. However, what I will say is that Steve is a part of a group of town council members that are very environmentally focused. So it's not like we don't need 1,000 scientists, to prove the importance, that the climate is getting warmer. I feel like we have a sympathetic town council that is. I don't mean to say that we shouldn't do our homework. So I'm not indicating that. But even still, I think it sounds like let's do a little homework. Maybe, I don't know, Dave, or if all of you guys collectively can do a little homework on your own and you find some information about um, particulates in particular, I would be greatly appreciative. And then maybe we can be more informed at our next meeting and make a motion. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good.
Okay, excellent. Okay, we're 5 after 9.
I do have one other an issue that I brought up in the past, and I did a little bit of talking to folks this summer about this is composting at the pool.
Okay.
And I think that I didn't want it to really raise a fuss during the summer since the pool season was in play and the manager company it was already had all their procedures in place. But the
Right.
bottom line is that there is a compost bin sitting there, with all the other trash bins outside of the pool.
Okay.
And, I think that given all the folks that eat dinners, there at the pool,
Right.
I think that we're basically, if we're pushing composting throughout the town to every home, we should be doing it also at the pool.
For sure.
So this is not, I think this is a more of a recommendation that we need to, push to the pool committee. I don't think that this is, something we can recommend,
Yeah.
to the town. It's really more of an initiative. We need to kind of, develop, a liaison or a recommendation directly
Yeah.
to the pool committee about. And when I talked to various folks, I even talked to, at least two of the town council people, not used to Steve. They were say, sure, that sounds like a good idea. When I noticed it and saw them at the pool. So we have to just get it into the processes of which
Mhm.
the lifeguards and the pool management does as
So it
part of
sounds
their
like
cleanup.
it's two things. One is we got to make sure we have the compost buckets in the right location, where people are looking for a compost at that moment in time, which could be near the tables. And
Right.
the second thing is that the staff needs to be educated to constantly be reminding people that, this is what you need to do. So that's something like, Matt the pool committee
Well,
needs to educate.
it's actually a third thing also, which is that, they means they have to, they take the bin out of the.
And there needs to be somebody to take the bin up to the street, or is that where
Well, I don't know how the trash, I think they probably come down and the truck probably goes into the pools, in order to pick up the trash. So I
right?
imagine it would do the same thing with the, the compost. We'll just have to drive into the pool area.
Okay.
But the only issue I'm sorry, I'm brainstorming right here. They come real early,
Yeah, they come at 7 a.m. Yeah,
which the pool gate's probably not open.
right. But they can do it the night before,
Right, they can put it out the night before
like we
technically.
do.
So,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. That is a major source of composting possibility, and I'm going to talk to EJ about it, and Matt Zaft, who's my
Right.
neighbor. To
Just a tiny background. When we started composting a long time ago, the pool did compost
okay.
and they agreed to do it. We just talked to the pool management and it was just written into what their responsibilities were. And I think that when we rebuilt the pool house, it just kind of got lost. I
Got
don't
it.
know, but it might be worth I don't think there's anyone who knows why it got lost.
Okay.
But it might be worth exploring if there was a reason that they're finding that people were abusing the system or something.
I'll
Um,
look into it, Sarah. This one I want to take. Everybody else, I mentioned some things that you guys should do in your on your back burners. Find out about particulates scrubbers, the cost of scrubbers. What was another item that I asked everybody to look into? Help me out, somebody. I can't remember.
Environmental indicators for the town.
Oh yeah, environmental indicators. Thank you, Evar. You're going to send me a list, and we'll circulate that and add to that list. Those are two things. So I think we should adjourn. This was a productive meeting. Great to see everybody after summer, and I think we could shoot to like have another one of this. Either like I was thinking, what did I choose a date? Let me just before I let everyone go. No, I haven't yet. I'm just thinking about having one more in the fall, let's say like in mid-November or something like that. Before winter vacation. So look to I was thinking about maybe let's say November 7th. Does that work for anybody? Or I guess you probably don't even have your calendars in front of you, but
It's in the minutes.
I'll be
November
halfway
7th is in
to
the minutes.
I'll be halfway to Antigua and we'll sailboats that week.
oh, really? Exciting. Antigua?
Yes.
That's awesome. You're a sailor. That's
I'm a sailor, but it's not my boat.
it's an ocean sailing. How big of a boat?
50 foot.
50-foot sail sloop?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
All right, the 7th works okay with me, and sounds like a great trip. I'm just looking at my calendar. The
Thank
next
you.
week would maybe more problematic.
Okay. All right. Thanks. At least now we got Dave on board for that, and I'll send that another. Ralph, thanks for writing the minutes. You guys, great to see everybody. Have a nice evening.
All
right,
righty, thanks
sure.
much.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Take care.
9/11.